This is not a normal video that I would post on my channel, hence me not doing an intro, but I have been off my channel for a little bit, and it bugs me that I haven't been able to post anything. If you haven't read the title of this video, I wanted to share my story, what's been going on, and how I felt about it, and how I'm proceeding with everything. If you have watched the past videos prior to this, they were months filmed between each one because it was really hard for me to film and be able to edit and post within the time period that I would do all these videos. So let me backtrack you to May. In May, I was eating a lot, and one night when I was coming home from my boyfriend's, you know him, he's Griffin, I came home and I wasn't feeling well, and I went to bed and I was having this really sharp pain, like right up in here, like all around my, and I thought maybe this was the death of me, and I went into the ER. This was my first time in the ER since March. And they said I had some indigestion, and that they were telling me that I need to go on some Prilosec, and that it was a stomach pump medication to pump my stomach and to get it flowing a little bit, and maybe that I had an ulcer, but maybe it was just indigestion. No, I did not take Prilosec at that time. They gave me stuff for indigestion. That's what they did. Not Prilosec. So it happened a week later where I had that pain. I was with Griffin. We were driving around waiting to go to a movie, and it was pouring rain outside, and all of a sudden this sharp pain came on as I was driving. We stopped, and I had to get out in the pouring rain because I could not stand the pain that I was going through, and I had to like walk around and stuff to get this pain to go away. And it went away, and I was like, wow, indigestion really hurts. And then in June, a lot of things happened in June, but one of the things that happened in June is I ended up eating at Culver's. I had not changed the way that I had eaten things, and I decided to go to Culver's with Grace and Brandon. And I ate this burger that was really dripping with grease. And the following morning, I woke up and I was in that pain again, but it was 10 times worse for me. And I had this little tiny pain, like, for maybe 2 nights prior. Like, every single night I was feeling this pain. And I just was like, I can't go back to the hospital again. They're not going to do anything for me. It's just indigestion. But by the third night after Culver's, I was in so much pain. I was crying on the floor. And I ended up in the hospital with my dad. And they said that possibly, 1, that you have an ulcer, or 2, there's something with your ovaries, because I have weird ovaries, and that was just a thing. And they also declared me as pre-diabetic, which, before anybody says yes because you're fat, diabetes runs in my family. And it's not just because we're fat, but you know what I mean. Anyways, that was the only time they ever told me that I was pre-diabetic, because my glucose levels were really high, and probably from what I was eating. They never mentioned it again. They never said my glucose levels were never that high ever again. But they never mentioned it. It says it nowhere on my chart that they mentioned it, because I went to my follow-up after that. They did put me on Prilosec that time, and they started me on it, and it was weird because I had to change everything that I did to do with eating. I didn't eat at my job anymore because I worked at McDonald's. Um, I would eat there a lot, and so that was something I had to get rid of. I had to bring food to work. I couldn't eat spicy food, so I had to give up Taco Bell. Oh, and I know Taco Bell was my favorite, and I haven't eaten there since June, and it's terrible. I had to quit just eating spicy fried food and all that, and I tried my hardest to not eat any of that stuff, but the pain was dialing down because of the Percocet, and I thought maybe it was okay to introduce that stuff back in. Of course, that didn't work because by July I was back in the hospital with this pain again, and they took me for a CT this time, and they said, okay, well, we're going to put you on another round of Percocet for another month. You're only allowed to do 2 months of Percocet in 1 year because it can have some major effects on your body. For me, it made me extremely hot all the time. I didn't feel like eating, like, ever. And yes, I would still have that pain in my body from time to time, but it wasn't as severe as it was before. And this time in the hospital in July, they took me for a CT, and they said, one, it could be you have an ulcer, so we're going to put you on Percocet to wash that out. You're going to get signed up to do an endoscoping to see if it is later down the road. Two, it could be your ovaries. Maybe there's something wrong with your ovaries, because I was having pain all the way throughout my body, and they're still thinking something was wrong with my ovaries, so they signed me up for a ultrasound. And then they also said, and this was last resort, they said maybe there's something wrong with your gallbladder, but it's probably not. Okay, so they took me in, and this was a lot of switching around because they kept spreading my appointments out like almost a month between each one, and I was dealing with this pain for like weeks on end, where like sometimes it was super severe to the point where I was like, I need to go to the hospital, and I just couldn't go back in because the ER people, they said to me, you're not allowed to come back into the ER. There's nothing we can do for you. You just got to deal with it. And they were recommending me things like Tums and like antidepressants, and to the point where they almost were recommending me and prescribing me narcotics, and I didn't want that because I just knew that narcotics is a heavy thing. And when they gave it to me in July, when I was in the hospital, because I was hurting so much, I came in there with not only stomach pain, but I was having back pain because I was also on my period at the same time. They gave me a narcotic that flowed through my body that made my body feel so heavy, and I was so tired. And the following day after I was in the hospital, I was at work and I was puking all day long, and my job wouldn't let me go home because of how much I was puking from this. And this pain would cause me to puke like almost instantly every time. Like there was no like, you're gonna be nauseous for a little bit and then it's gonna go away. It was like, you're nauseous, you're gonna throw up right away. And it would happen all the time. And a lot of times it would be like, I wake up in the morning, I have this pain, I would get nauseous, I throw up, and then I would continue having this pain for a little bit and it would go away, either because I was taking something and sleeping, or because I just continued with my day and not really caring that I was dealing with this. This was all from May to July where I was dealing with that. And then in July, I got scheduled for all these things. I got scheduled for the ultrasound, the scoping, follow-ups, and things like that. Well, I went to my follow-up, which was the following week, and they decided that they would give me a fourth option that something's wrong with me. So I might have an ulcer, something's wrong with my ovaries, I might have something wrong with my gallbladder, or it might be a bacterial infection inside my small intestines. And I had to get labs done, and I had to do some outside of the hospital testing to see if it was a bacterial infection in my stomach. And usually they said it was an infection people usually get if they live in a dirty place, if they live in like a prison or a homeless shelter. That wasn't me. And when the test came back, it was negative. So rule that fourth one out. Don't even know why we had it. Next day, I went in for my ultrasound from my ovaries, see if there was anything wrong with those. First time ever having a ultrasound where it involves going up inside me, and it was the most weirdest experience ever. It was a little bit painful, and they just said I had asymmetric ovaries, which meaning that my ovaries are different sizes. Okay. There's nothing wrong with my ovaries, so we ruled that out. So now I have 2 options left, and the next day was my consultation for my surgery. I called it my surgery until they said just call it a procedure, because if you call it surgery, you're going to scare people. Well, I went in and they did a consultation with me, and they scheduled for my scoping to see if I had an ulcer. If I did have an ulcer, they were going to fix it. If I didn't have an ulcer, they were going to rule it out and then try maybe going for my gallbladder being last. Well, from the time that I had my consult to the time that I had my scoping, it was approximately 2 weeks. I still had another 2 weeks where I had to deal with constantly maybe having pain. I had changed everything at this point with my eating habits. I was barely eating anything at all. And if it was something that I'm eating, it was super healthy, and I was puking all the time because everything I ate made me puke. And some people, they constantly said maybe you're just pregnant, and they constantly were running pregnancy tests, but I wouldn't have had anything to do with that because I'm not doing that. Anyways, forward to the day of my scoping. The day before, I actually ended up, it was my last day at McDonald's. I quit McDonald's because of this, and they didn't treat me very nicely when it came to me dealing with my health concerns, because I was constantly out of work a lot for it, and they didn't like that because of my position, and so I left. And also, so then I wouldn't have the urge to eat their food constantly, and it helped because I had been losing weight from this, and it would fluctuate going on and up and stuff. So the day of my scoping, first time that I had a surgery since I was 3, I was nervous, but also not very nervous. I just wanted to get it done with. The surgeon was very nice. They didn't find an ulcer after that, but they had like busted up my uvula in the back, so it was not good. And so I had like a scratchy throat and stuff like that. And I thought, okay, well, then what's left? My gallbladder was the last thing. And so they're like, okay, well, they gave me results and that was it. And then I was waiting for them to tell me that something's going to happen with my gallbladder. I had to wait till my follow-up with my endoscoping to go and see what was next. And forward now to September, I was supposed to have my HIDA scan last Friday. I didn't make it to last Friday. I was supposed to have a HIDA scan that I had scheduled for last Friday, and what it was a scanner that they would put a camera, like a radioactive camera, inside me, and it would go through my abdomen here and all my organs and stuff to see if there was anything wrong. Well, I didn't make it to Friday because I got sick 2 Tuesdays ago. I was throwing up. I was in like falling over backwards pain that I'm usually having, and it was 10 times worse than like all the months combined. I was trying my best. Nobody had said to me go to the hospital because we already ruled that out, and they're like, you just gotta wait. Like, you gotta wait until your HIDA scan. That you got it until next week Friday, and they're like, just work it out, walk it out. And then Wednesday came the following morning, and I was still in this severe pain, and I went into my new job. I work for the school district, and I told my mom I didn't feel good, and I was feeling like puking, and I had been prescribed during this time, around, like, not this time, but like during all of this, I had been prescribed a take by mouth medication of like nausea medication to try to stop puking that they usually give pregnant ladies, and it didn't work. And I had been taking it every time to see if it would work, and it didn't. And that Wednesday morning, I really wasn't feeling it, and my mom said, just go to the walk-in clinic, which is different from the ER, because the walk-in clinic, they can check you up and everything, where you then could be admitted to the ER. So I drove home from work feeling like trash and got out of my car for a split second in my driveway and threw up anything I had in my system all over my driveway. It was wet, it was gross. I don't want to go into details because I know some people get nauseous just thinking about it. But I went to the walk-in clinic, and I sat there for what felt like forever, just in the waiting room. They brought me in. I told them I was having this pain. I was supposed to have the scan next Friday, but I was in so much pain that I can't do anything. I need help. They gave me a shot for nausea, and they gave me a shot for pain, and it made me feel really lightheaded and like spacey, to the point where I felt like maybe that would be what it would feel like to be tripping. And I was just sitting in the nurses, like that room that you sit in to get checked up, and they were having me do jump tests and stuff because maybe they thought, oh, maybe it's her appendix, maybe she has appendicitis. Nothing to do with my gallbladder is what they were testing me for. Then they noticed that I was starting to look really weak and like pale in the face and like losing my color, and I was looking so out of it. And at this time I was really out of it. I didn't even realize I was in the room anymore. They took me and sent me to get labs to get my blood drawn. Came back to the room so they could check it, and my liver levels were through the roof. They weren't normal, which then accused them that saying that, yeah, something is definitely wrong with probably your gallbladder, or something's wrong with your liver. And they rushed me over to the ER, because now the ER, which just happened to be girls on that shift, all the shifts before that I had gone into the ER, they all had been boy doctors. Although the team that worked with me on that Wednesday were girls, including the doctors, everything except for the surgeon. The surgeon was a guy. But they brought me into the ER, and they had me wait. They were giving me medications to keep my pain down. The pain was still there. I was still feeling nauseous, but not as bad because of the medication they gave me. They were doing me they were testing me for hepatitis because of my liver, and they were testing to see if I was pregnant, which of course I wasn't, because as I was sitting in the ER, I stand up and there goes my period again. A great way to keep track of when these things happen. Apparently I'm in the ER whenever it happens. Anyways, I was starting to like be really out of it, that I didn't know what was going on around me or what was going on. And they were looking at me and they're like, oh, your test looks like really not the same as it usually is. It's really dark. You're starting to look a lot like you're looking a little yellow, which indicates that I could have jaundice. And throughout this, yeah, I did. I was severely jaundiced. I was turning yellow. I had not been this shade of yellow since I was born, because I was born jaundiced. And so they were like, yep, something's definitely wrong with you. And they took me to an MRI machine, which is that big one that you go in and it's like around you and you're like in a really tight area, and if you're claustrophobic it would probably freak you out. Well, I was so out of it, and I don't have claustrophobia at all, but I was so out of it that I was just letting them do whatever they want. They put me in this machine. They put a camera on my chest, this big old thing. They put pads in my arms to keep my arms in, and it kind of hurt a little bit because of my disability in my arm. Pushed me into this machine, and they had big old headphones they put on my head. They said, what do you like listening to? And I was like, all types of music. being out of it. I was just trying to stay focused, but it wasn't helping. And I didn't have my glasses on because I wasn't allowed to have my glasses on. And they gave me country music, so I got to listen to country music for about 45 minutes while this machine was beeping, and it was super loud as they were taking pictures of things like my gallbladder. Found something wrong with my gallbladder, so that Wednesday, which was 2 Wednesdays ago, I was admitted into the hospital. I had to stay overnight as they watched my liver levels to see if they would come down, and they never did come down. They tried getting me to eat, and I was eating because there's nothing in my system because I had thrown up so much prior to it that I was so hungry and I felt so empty that I had basically ordered some food from the hospital, and I was just eating just fine. And they like, my parents, they didn't stay with me, but they could have if they wanted to. And I stayed overnight in the hospital as they were watching me. 2:30 rolls around in the morning that Thursday morning, and I had woken up feeling like I was going to puke, and I was in a lot of pain. The nurse came in, and she was like, okay, well, I'm going to give you some morphine. They had given me morphine in the ER the day before to get me to settle down, and that's what made me, like, not in it. And I was like, okay. And they gave that to me, but they didn't give me any nausea medication. As soon as that morphine hit my shoulder all the way over here, I said, grab a garbage can. To grab a garbage can, and I just started hurling everything that I had eaten within the couple hours before that out of me, and it was painful for me, but it all came out at once, and I almost hit her, but I didn't. And I apologized to her later on about if I had puke on her, and she said it was fine. She said I didn't get her, but I was in that feeling. And then fast forward then to 5:30 in the morning. I had woken up to use the bathroom, and the person who was going to draw my blood was coming into the room, and as I was in the bathroom, I puked again. All the rest of the stuff was out of my system. I was so yellow in the face. I was so jaundiced. I couldn't do anything. I was out of it, and I came back out, and the lady had helped me change my gown because I had puked all over it. She had taken my blood, and she finally she's like, do you want more morphine? I said, no more morphine. I said, I just need something to stop me from puking. And they gave me something for puking and for nausea, which calmed me down a lot more than morphine did, and which caused me to go into this state of, like, I really don't know what's going on, and I don't know where I am, and stuff like that. I was just there, and they're like, no more eating, no more drinking, you're having surgery today. Your gallbladder is going to get removed. We see that you're having problems keeping anything in, and it's because of your gallbladder. We see you're still in pain. There's something wrong with your gallbladder. So I slept a majority of this. I was so out of it. Like, my mom and my dad had came back to the hospital to be with me, and I would wake up, look around, and fall back to sleep because that's how much pain I was in, and I was so hyped up on, like, so many different injections, and they had not given me anything. They didn't put any liquids in me. They didn't put, like, a saline drip on me at all while I was in the hospital or in the ER. I wasn't able to eat anything or drink anything, so it had been, like, maybe, I want to say, a good long while, like almost 24 hours that I went without drinking anything, and that's what hurt a lot because my mouth was so dried up and I couldn't drink anything, and it made me cry because all I wanted to do was drink water. And I got out of bed at one point and went and sat in the chair because I couldn't sit in the bed anymore. My IV almost came out. It had actually been leaking stuff for a really long time, and they had to adjust it to make sure that it was okay before I went into surgery to get my gallbladder removed. So this was 2 Thursdays ago. I went in, and my surgeon told me that I had gallstones, and that one of them had went up into my liver instead of going through the bile duct and going out of my body. So they wanted to remove my gallbladder, see if there was any gallstones in there, see if the one that came out of my gallbladder the wrong way, if it had got stuck in the bile duct, causing me to puke, or if it was stuck somewhere in here. They managed to get both of them out. When I went into surgery, it was very fast for me, and they always will tell you this whenever you go into surgery, that everything happens really fast. Like, you're in and out, but you're not actually in and out, because it was, I don't know, I think 2 to 3 hours that I was actually out. And it was really scary for me when I came out of it and they woke me up, because I literally could not remember where I was, who I was, why I was there, what I was supposed to be doing, and stuff like that. And I really wanted to get up. I felt my body feel like I wanted to get up, but I was bound down because I had things on my legs, which were just leg warmers to keep my legs from clotting. And I had my IV still in, and I had sutures and stuff all over me, and I felt my body be like, I'm scared, I need to get up and go, because I don't know where I am. And I did know where I am, because the doctors, they were asking me questions, who are you, what's your date of birth, and stuff like that, and I was answering them, but in my mind, I didn't know where I was. I didn't know who I was or what I was doing there. And they brought me back into the room where my parents were, into the room that I was staying in, and they said they had gotten everything out and that everything was fine, and that I was going to be in pain for a while, and that they had given me medication for it, and I would be able to leave to go home. I was so out of it, but I ate a pudding cup and a Jello cup, and it was good, because I was just like, I just want to go home, so I don't really understand anything. I missed half of the directions they gave me. So I stayed that night over at my parents' house. I tried to sleep a majority of it. It was very painful for me to sleep, though, because I'm used to sleeping on my sides, and I had been sleeping on my back for over 24 hours, and my back wasn't in a heap ton of pain anymore, because my gallbladder caused most of my pain in my back, and my back pain was gone. But the sutures, they were just here, the incisions were here. I don't have any stitches, but they just used some skin glue to keep them shut, and then they had put some dressing over my belly button where they had taken it out, and I tried sleeping it off. I slept in a chair, I slept in my parents' bed, I tried to sleep it off, and it was just not working. So my brother took me home, and as he was trying to take me home, my dressing for my belly button fell out, and I freaked out. And so we had to try to fix that, which eventually my mom came over and fixed it, and we didn't have to go back into the hospital to get that fixed. And I had some surgical tape over it to keep it shut, and those fell off almost instantly. And so I was dealing with that, and I had been taking the narcotic that they gave my parents and told them that I was supposed to use as last resort. I was supposed to be taking just regular pain medication to get rid of this, and I didn't know that because I was so out of it at the hospital. I didn't know I was taking these really heavy narcotics that you could get addicted to if you constantly were taking them. I took them for 2 days, and it made me really out of it to the point where I was falling asleep every single time I took one. And I had been sleeping in my chair, I was sleeping in my bed, and just a whole bunch of just sleeping, okay? That was all going into last week. That was all last week. It was basically me just sleeping. A lot of it mentally drained me to the point I was crying because I spent a lot of time by myself. I couldn't drive. I've only driven once since this time because I drove to the clinic and I left my car and I never drove again. And everybody had to take care of my car for me. People have been driving me around. My mom has been so helpful to me. But this was 2 weeks ago that all this happened, and I am on my, I think, 13th day off of work from this. The skin glue has peeled off and came off. I still have my incisions that are currently healing. I have 3 of them, one here, and one here, and then my incision on my belly button is still healing. It's really hard for me to deal with eating anything. I had a fear the first, I want to say, 4 days out of my surgery where I was crying because I couldn't eat anything. I was scared to eat things. I tried eating things and they tasted nasty to me. I had a fear of food and just eating it in general. And from that time that I had entered the clinic to now, I have lost at least like 10 pounds from this because of me having a fear and not wanting to eat. And then when I'm eating like not the full plate anymore, I want to say. And just eating with time. A lot of people may or may not know that some people, when they eat, they technically inhale their food because they ate it so fast, and that used to be me, but that's not me anymore because I take my time because I want to be able to feel that I feel full. And it's really weird for me because I don't have an appetite this whole entire time. From like beginning of like May to now, I have not had an appetite for anything, and I still don't. um, I have to like get myself to eat food, but like keep on track of when I'm eating food so I'm not overdoing it. I've only felt nauseous once during this whole entire thing, and it was only for a little bit because I was in the car. Um, and I should be going to my post-op this Wednesday and be back to work on Thursday. Anyways, that is my story of where I've been, what I've been doing, and why my channel has been so wonky. It's kind of weird for me because my food has been so resorted around eating food and making food, doing food challenges and stuff, that I just didn't know what my next video was going to be. I had made a video with Grace and Brandon before, like the week before all of this had happened, and I wanted to post it, but my phone that I used for that, the battery was shot and it died and never turned back on again. And so I lost that video. I tried to upload it and tried to get it going, but it failed. And so I lost a video of those two doing stupid stuff. I don't know exactly where my channel is heading because of this. I can always try going back to doing what I was doing before, but it may not be the same. We will see. I hope you guys liked my story because it was real. Make sure that you subscribe down below and watch my other videos and notify yourself whenever I'm gonna continue making videos. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.